My daughter is coming home for the weekend and I love to have a pot of soup, any kind of pot of soup. So we are making sort of a lemony bone broth chicken soup. Now this soup originated when the kids were little. My daughter Lilli came up with chicken Lilli, and so instead of regular chicken soup it had sort of an Asian flair. So this is a spin-off of that. So it is it's very tasty and it's light and it's pretty. So it's a good one that way. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some olive oil in a pan. And then you can really use whatever aromatics that you like, but I'm going to do sort of the ginger scallion garlic thing. But Emery doesn't really like garlic that much, so I'm going to use a shallot today. So these are, a shallot is really sort of like a cross between an onion and a garlic. And so it's a little bit milder. So it's sort of a personal preference, but you can kind of play around with that kind of thing. But basically you want to start with a ginger, a garlic, and an onion kind of taste. So that's what we're doing. So I had scallions. Put those in. We're going to use the shallot. There's nothing better than having soup in the house, because that way when you have company, or even just for me, for myself, it's just the kind of thing like you pull out whenever. If they come in late at night, they can warm it up at 11 o'clock at night. It's good in between, during the day, or that quick lunch. So it's something, it's always nice, and lots of times we end up freezing it and I send it home with them. So that's a good thing too. All right, so this is the shallot. That's going to go in there. You can buy ginger at the store, kind of already crushed up, and you can do that way with garlic too. I like having a root. I store my root. I'll put it in the freezer, and so you just pull it out whenever you're ready. Some people don't even peel it. They just take their grater and they go like that. What I'm doing today is I am taking off that outer part, and then I'm just going to kind of cut it into matchsticks. And so in lots of recipes you'll see, like, they'll say an inch of ginger, or an inch of, you know, and so just go ahead and use, that's what they mean by that. This is when I wish you could smell through the television, right? Now, for my friends that know me, I don't always peel my carrots. I eat them this way in the car. I wash them really, really well. I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of vitamins in skin. You know, potato skins, sweet potatoes, and regular, lots of things that I eat, I leave the skins on. So, of course, you can peel these if you prefer. Scrub them up really well, no matter what. But anyway, so that's what I like to do. So if you notice that I didn't peel it, it was intentionally. Alright, carrot goes in there too, and celery. And a lot of these things are sort of personal preference. So like if you love lots of celery, put in more. If you like tons of carrots, some people think carrot makes it sweet. It doesn't, you know, that's all personal preference. These ratios, I'll put them all there for you, but that's what I like about cooking, is we can play around with things. You know, if you can't find a shallot, don't worry about it. Use that garlic. Okay, so the pot, we're going to get it started. We've got some color going in there. And we're going to let that go, and things are going to start, you know, moving around a little bit. We never want garlic. Here, let me put some garlic in. We'll just use a little bit. Garlic, we don't want it to get dark. If it gets more than like a golden brown, we're gonna have to start over because it gets a real bitter taste and it makes the whole dish taste bitter. And then a really cool thing, when I was in Italy, I had a really special 50th birthday trip to Italy. I got to take a cooking class there. Oh, that was so fun. And she taught us in the class, when we open up our garlic, we've got this little piece in there. She's told us not to use that, okay? You want to pull that out. So that is something I've never known that before. And so I want to tell you a little bit about her. Her name was Sylvia. And I went to this class thinking that it was going to be a very intimidating situation. And she was the opposite. She was so inviting, so comfortable. She, like for instance this, okay? It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be perfect. There was a man in the class and he just wanted to have proper skills and da-da-da. Yeah, we want to be careful, we don't want to get hurt in the kitchen, but it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be relaxing and we're supposed to be able to talk and not be worried here, right? So that was such a fun thing for me to be able to be in her kitchen and realize like she's relaxed. And by the end of the class, if you look at my Instagram, there's pictures of us like this and like this, and we had so much fun in there. So anyway, that's the part that I brought back to share with all of you. All right, so we're gonna let that go. One of the things that I'm gonna add to make this a little more current is I'm gonna put in some lemongrass. I have lemongrass growing out in my herb garden, so that's a really cool thing. Today I'm just going to use it. I got it at the grocery store. It comes in a tube. Okay, so if you don't have this, you can leave it out. It's not a big deal. I also found at our health food store bone broth. And so this is chicken with lemongrass and lemon. So this is going to be a really nice thing in this chicken soup, okay? I love getting things at our local health food store. My daughter's super healthy, so this is the soup I'm making for her, so I'm incorporating this. If she wasn't here, if we didn't have this, we can make this whole recipe with just regular old chicken broth or chicken broth that we made ourselves, okay? So these are just things I like to play in the kitchen. If you play in the kitchen, I'd love to hear your comments. You tell me what you do to change things up. All right. I'm going to put in a little bit of this lemongrass. Yeah, so Lilli was the one in our family that would experiment with recipes when she was little. It all started because she would wake up in the mornings really early, and we all wanted to sleep in. And so she would be allowed to come down to the kitchen and she would make a little fruit assortment or some little muffins or things. So when we came down, this little tiny thing, I don't know, she had to pull up a stool, I guess, and do it all. And she'd have it all there ready for us, and we'd say, "Oh, Lilli, thank you." So I love to talk about the story because she's just turning 21 this weekend, and so I'm reminiscent and thinking about her. And she will tell me, she said, "Mom, you wouldn't let me watch TV. I had nothing else to do." So that's her version. My version is this, and her version is, I have nothing else to do. So you don't have to let them watch TV in the morning. They'll come up with something good, right? Okay. All right, so now this is starting to smell really good. For this recipe, if you don't eat meat, you don't have to put in meat, but I did. I shredded up some chicken ahead of time, and I've got it covered in this beeswax wrap. This is something I put in both of my daughter's stockings at Christmas. I love this stuff. It comes in an assortment of sizes. And it's a waxy texture. You just rinse it in the sink and let it air dry. I'm using instead of saran wrap. So you just cover up your dishes, put them in the refrigerator. My daughter will take, for instance, a handful of nuts or something like that, pinch it up like that, and take it for lunch. So it has all these great uses, and it's reusable, and it's good for our environment. So I like that one a lot. Okay. So we've got the aromatics, we've got celery, carrot, I've got some kind of oniony stuff. I used a bunch of oniony stuff. We've got garlic, ginger, everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in this liquid. And you can tell me if you get to the point where you're interested in a class on making bone broth. You have to roast the bones and then we put it into a stock that we make ourselves. And I'd be happy to show you that. I think it'd be fun. Comment below and we'll do a stock class if you like the idea of it. And we can even do just making a chicken stock class, because there's lots of, or a vegetable stock. All these things that we're using today, all these little bits, that would go into a pot, add some water, add some herbs, let it all simmer down, strain it, and we've got our own stock. Cheap, easy, fresh, healthy, okay? All right, so I put in that bone broth. You don't have to, you can just use regular chicken stock or that stock that we just talked about making. Because this is a chicken soup, I'm gonna use the chicken stock, but a lot of times for my soup they use vegetable stock. I never really did it intentionally. I'm not sure when it happened, but I don't really eat that much meat anymore. I think my daughter started being sort of vegan, vegetarian, playing around in that world, and when I would spend time with them, I realized that I felt better too. So we kind of all just kind of going that way, but our whole house is not that way. All right, so at this point we've got this really yummy smelling broth. We've got stock and all those aromatics. I'm going to add in some chicken. I pre-cooked chicken and I shredded it. I always like chicken shredded versus chopped for some reason. Even chicken salad, anything I make, it just pulls apart into these shreds, and somehow it has a better mouthfeel for sure. And I don't know why, it tastes better to me. Okay, so that's going to go in there. I don't know if you can see this. It's starting just to look a little chickeny soupy. Okay, and then I'm going to add in some rice. You can add in any kind of rice that you like. Jasmine rice, regular white rice. This is a long grain brown rice. Anything's fine with me. And so we'll put a measurement down below, but maybe about 3/4 of a cup or so. It really depends on how much liquid you put in. So we'll bring this up to a boil. Once it all gets going, the boil brings it to all like a flavor point, and then we put it back down to a simmer and let it go for like half an hour, and then the rice will be cooked, the flavors will all get together, and it's ready to be served at that point. So season it up a little bit, salt and pepper. I'm going to put some cilantro on at the end, and I'm going to put some chilies in. I like it a little spicy, so if you do too, this is the way to go. So I'm doing the pieces like this because I think they're really, really, really pretty floating in the soup like this, okay? So you can add it at the end, just lay it on top of the cilantro, or you can put it in now, either way. If you don't like heat, you take the seeds out. You also have to be very careful. Like right now, if I were to touch my eye, it's going to sting, and my eyes are going to water and sting. So they make little disposable gloves. You can use those when you use these peppers, but be very mindful because I learned the hard way. Okay. Okay, I'm going to lie these in here. I don't know if you can see from there, but already they're just pretty. Okay, so we're going to let that come to the boil, and then we'll let it simmer. Okay, so here's the chicken soup. When it's finished, we have that lemongrass in it. It's wonderful flavors. We added that bone broth, which makes it extra special. And so here it is, finished up with a few more little chilies, some cilantro on top. It's full of chicken. It's savory. It's wonderfully lemony. And so it'll just stay here, and whenever we want a bowl, we've got it.